Hello, everyone. If you're watching this recording, I feel like I need to say things like, this was brought to you by my Patreons. Because it is. So cool. I'm going to wait for more folks to pop on. I was just talking to my mods. We're having a lively discussion in a group chat right now. Hello. So cool. As you're joining, hi. I'm curious, over the days, months, weeks, years, some of you years, hi, what brought you to my channel? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Happy early summer solstice, everybody. Hello from the UK. What's up, Sophie? Checking my mods chat. Hello, hello. I was just asking, for those of you cool with answering, what brought you to my channel? And or how long have you been following me? I'm just very curious. I feel like I've been here a while. Thank you for the rose, Tower Paranormal. From Chicago, hello. I'm seeing my mods. What's up? Thanks for bringing the party here. I'm seeing some folks from my Patreon. Thank you also for bringing the party here. I made an announcement about this live on my newsletter as well as Instagram today, so we'll see who all shows up for the fun. That's right, party, party. Blessed solstice to you. Came for the skits, stayed for the connection. Thank you. Hello, Catherine. Why did my voice crack? Cool. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, if you're looking at the solstice live and you're like, wait, isn't that tomorrow? It is. I'm going to be spending some time with family tomorrow. Learn about helping your son with his abilities. Awesome. Thank you for doing that. I super appreciate and admire parents who, perhaps they have kids that are saying things that they don't understand or seeing stuff that, even kind of freaks them out. But instead of, shutting them down, to be like, hi, let's try to understand each other. It's super important right now. So thank you for doing that. Blessed solstice. Yes. I love that. Watching a favorite TV show. Yes. Cool. Oh, thank you. From Andrea, depending on where you're from, how you say it. Thank you for that. It's kind of you to say. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I know some of you know each other in the chat, so feel free to blow it up. That's fine by me. Oh, thank you. For growth and connection, that kind of thing. Yeah. What made me get into this line of work? Circumstance? I actually did theater and I did some TV things. In fact, it's funny, every now and then I'll get a comment and be like, weren't you on this show? I had some one kind of episode gigs when I was living up in Washington, D.C., and I did a lot of theater. I was a producer, performer, and playwright. I still consider myself a producer, performer, and playwright, though now I'm writing for the tiny screen. So that was how it started. I started talking about ghosts. Really, with this channel, the way that it blew up was I had come back from a tour. I no longer run in-person ghost tours. I primarily do the tours for YouTube and on my Patreon. But at the time I was doing in-person ghost tours, and I got some wild pictures from people on my tour, and I was like, I'm gonna share these in 15-minute, little things. I posted all 5 videos, I went to sleep, and then I woke up the next day and I had 15,000 followers, had 0 the day before. So it's all grown from there. Thank you for the roses. And I started my big thing that happened in the last 2 years. It's only been 2 years. Oh, thanks for the roses. Was I started writing skits. And the funny thing with that was I was trying to make sense of my own circumstances at that point. I was trying to understand the things that I had experienced. And yeah, the skits really exploded, and that's a lot of my channel now, and people had a lot of questions about the things that I was talking about, so thank you for the heart. So I started opening up spots to talk to people. It wasn't mediumship or psychic stuff then. It was just to talk to people. Little did I realize I was using a lot of claircognizance for those consultations. Even at the very early, I was wanting to give myself a lot of grace with all of that. So I didn't put high expectations on myself until people were like, oh, well, could you try? Could you see about my guides? Could you see about this person? Could you see about this ghost? So I grew from there, and over time I felt confident enough to actually say, hey, I do this in consultations now. And really from there, here we are now. I still do a lot of skit related things. I do little Q&A things on my channel. I do much longer content on YouTube where I go into different places and catch reads, and I go about it from a place where there's not so much editing involved, not like you would see with a TV show, because the point of it is for other people to make reads in a comfortable setting of their home and to be able to see how the reads match up with the reads that I'm making. And it's been super validating for a lot of people on my YouTube to be able to like comment and be like, whoa, I was thinking this, or that's what I was seeing, and then she said it, and that kind of thing. So the whole purpose of my channel now is to encourage people to grow in their own abilities, to trust themselves. And I also take that kind of focus with consultations as well. It's not about me doing booking after booking after booking. It's about encouraging people to trust themselves and to trust their own psychic skill sets so that they can grow and we all can be more intuitive together, because I think that's a lot better of a way to be for the world if we can all help each other out instead of being like, I'm special and you're not. Like, I don't even like saying that, because I think we're all in a very unique time, and I want to honor that and see where I fit in and all of that. So I hope that was a answer to your question. I'm going to check in on the commentary. Yes. All you mods, you were so great. I was just saying when you were getting on, I was like, we were just having a conversation in the mods chat. You all are wonderful. Yes, Ivy. I can't wait to see you at the Patreon meetup this weekend. For anybody who's curious, we do Patreon meetups, like in-person meetups that are part going to haunted locations, part activation, and also part workshops with me. And we will be going to West Palm Beach this weekend. And as I told Ivy, Ivy actually is one of the people to plan it. You're actually the main person planning this one. I mean, I know there's other help from other folks, and I do appreciate that, though. I know you've been doing the grunt work behind it, yeah, with your company, which is also very exciting. But yeah, that'll be super fun. And the next one is going to be in New Orleans, and New Orleans is now going to be a Patreon exclusive event. Thank you for the heart. So for anybody who's interested in New Orleans, we did lower the price significantly. We just put it as a Patreon exclusive thing. The reason why we do that is because we have a Patreon community. People know each other. People are meeting each other. I really want to honor that community and honor the work that everybody's been doing to put themselves out there and understand where they are and to, grow together. And I really want to focus on that. So at some point I might open it up to the public the way that the other one was originally, but for right now it's just going to be Patreon exclusive. So yeah, super exciting. Yes, I love all the love that Ivy's getting in the comments. Well deserved. I hope you have an amazing day. Also, hello in Wilmington. Yes. So yeah, okay. I'm going to get to the point of this live. Now I'm seeing a lot of really great questions on here. I will encourage you to go to my YouTube. If you have questions on spirit guides, I've got long lives specifically on spirit guides that are already up on that. I'm also going to give a nod to Emily, who is Liker of Words. She also has a lot of great content on spirit guides. I'm also seeing stuff about hauntings. If you want to check out some tips from me on that, that's also going to be on YouTube as well. And of course, if you're ever interested in being in a workshop setting with me, that is on Patreon, along with a lot of really other great perks. Do check out the tiers, if any of that is interesting to you, because I try to create a lot of tiers where you get a lot of benefit for not a lot of money. I'm really focusing on the crowdfunding aspect of it rather than charging high prices for each individual. And I see a lot of Patreons on here, which is super exciting. Thanks for supporting me and all the good that you do. So yeah, welcome to the annual Solstice Live. I've been doing the Winter Solstice Lives for 2 years now, and this will be my second Summer Solstice Live. For any of you who perhaps have been following for a long time and you're like, whoa, where's the rest of your family? So there have been developments, and I'm just going to leave it at this. Jay and I have been separated since January. I am now living on my own, and one of the things that I have learned this year is that some things in my life should probably stay private. So I'm going to have other videos, and my Patreons know about this already. Not in a detailed sense of what's going on, because that's my private business, but just as a like, hey, no ill will. I don't mean him any harm. I just am doing my thing now at my own place. So some of you, I know if you've noticed in some of my recent videos being like, whoa, is that a new place? You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. I'm actually really proud of myself to be able to live on my own. And I mentioned this on a Patreon video recently, where I was talking about how I've never lived on my own. I've lived with family, or I've lived with roommates, or I've lived with partners, but this is the first time that I'm actually here. I guess I shouldn't say I'm entirely on my own. I have a fish. His name is Seamus. Thank you for the heart. He's a very good fish. You may have seen his tank in a reenactment skit. Thank you for the hearts. I'm just going to keep doing this. The van days, and thank you for that donation. Oh my goodness. We had a lot of fixes for that, and you all really helped with that, and it made it a lot more tolerable situation as far as like being able to move the bus at all, that kind of thing. So I will say the bus has since moved on to somebody else, and it's another person who has dreams, and I'm really excited for them. So I may do like van life for myself later on in the future, and that's also really exciting for me. Right now I'm still in Wilmington, North Carolina, and it's all just been very different. At the beginning it was very scary, and now I feel like I've settled in, and it's been really exciting. So thanks everybody for following along. Yay. Okay, so with my solstice lives in the past, typically what I'll do is I'll do some polls. My set, you can't quite see it down here, but I've got my rock set, and it's anything from crystals to things that I've collected over time to things that people have given me. I've got some shells, I've got some coins, I've got random jars of water and things. And the whole purpose of it is this is metaphorical so that it can give us some perspective on kind of what's going on. I use this in my readings as well. I typically don't do live readings like this, so this is something exciting that I want to share with all of you. I have been doing it on Patreon regularly. I always give them a kind of outlook for the month, and that actually starts at the $5 tier. So I'm excited to share this with the larger collective. So metaphorical Doritos, thank you. Yeah. I just looked down. It's like metaphorical Doritos. That was a conversation in one of our Patreon chats. Anyway, so cool. One of the things too that I want to go over for this time is some suggestions on things that you can do for the solstice. The solstice it's a time where we have the longest days of the year, and the solstice technically is tomorrow. And it's a great time to have reflection. The summer solstice in particular is a great time to acknowledge the things that have happened since the winter solstice, which was December 21st of 2022, and to be able, thank you for the rose, to be able to see how far you've come. And now we're kind of like in fruition. It's kind of like the last 6 months you've been planting your crops. Now it is time to see how they are working for you. See if you need to make changes. It's a great time for review and reflection. It's also a good time for manifestation because solstice, it's a powerful time. It's observed by a lot of different cultures throughout the world, which is super cool. And it's, it doesn't necessarily have to be religious per se. So I think it's something that everybody can, oh, thank you for the heart. Everybody can do something about if you want to, even if it's just to have reflection. And thank you for the cranes. This is Hermes candle, by the way. Hermes, who I work with, and it's actually sitting on top of a fortune jar or a honey jar. I made this last year. And I actually burned a green candle. You can see a little bit of it on the Winter Solstice Live. And it really caught flame. So I since have taken that candle off, thanked it for what it did. That was a fortune candle. And I put Hermes candle on top of this to kind of charge it up. Part of what I'm manifesting in this jar is like wealth, but not necessarily in the sense of like money wealth, more like wealth in life. So wealth in relationships, wealth in places, wealth in like people and travel and, communication. And I've certainly seen a lot of that. I didn't realize I'd have to jump through some of the hoops that I ended up having to jump through in order to get to that level of wealth. But now that it's all done, here I am, and it is what it is. So yeah, I'm charging this up. I asked Hermes if I could use his candle for this, and he seems kind of busy today, but I didn't get a no. It was more of like a huh, and then poof. I also lit him some incense for the solstice season. But yeah, if you see a candle, that's what that is. This is a little bit of spellcraft that I did. I did an Instagram post on it, like I guess last year when I was making it, but it's got some pyrite in there. It's got my petition, orange seeds, cinnamon, bay leaf, and then some local honey. And that's why it looks the way that it does. Also the red, my family candle or housewarming candle, got on it a little bit, which I still have. And by the way, all these candles were a gift from one of you. So thank you. You know who you are. Yes, the green candle, you remember that. And they all smell wonderful. Yes, I see some Hermes fans. Hermes, yeah. So I already did this with my Patreon group this past week for the new moon, and I kind of took it into the summer solstice. But these are the questions that I ask myself often. I actually made a journal for it, so if you're interested, the pages are up on my website, so you can even see the pages if you just want to see the pages for your own inspiration. But yeah, the way that I like to journal with this is rather than get into a lot of like descriptions and stuff, I find that I'm able to be more regular if I do it like once a week. I look forward to it. I put it on my calendar. And then I talk about just categories of what I did. So the first thing is what I achieved. The next thing is what I learned, what I released, what I'm grateful for, and then I make an affirmation for the next day. I also like put titles for everything, that kind of thing, because I like that. If you think your life is a story, I think it's more exciting that way. So I already did this for the solstice. I actually wrote this out. I did it over 2 days. So that's all the stuff that I did in the last 6 months. It's been a lot of stuff. And as I said, I feel like I've grown a lot. I've done a lot of traveling. A lot of that has been put up on my YouTube for different like ghost tours and that kind of thing. God, did my Southern just come out there? Thank you. See, now I feel better. Great. My Southern is coming back. It's been a while. Yes, I am a very tiny writer, and I like my little gel pens. They make me very happy. The Southern did come out. Okay, well, here I am. I was actually raised in the South, so It does pop out from time to time. It's funny when people were like, "Oh, hey, you're really good at a Southern accent for Jimothy," and I was like, "Yep, that's Randolph County." Like, that is Randolph County, North Carolina. Um, Thank you for the hanging bulbs. I don't know what you would call that. So yeah, I know. A lot of people haven't seen me recently. That's another thing, at least with Patreon, like I'm able to get all my skits out in advance all at once. Thank you. To folks, because I know the algorithm has been what it's been. But yeah, hey, you're on here now, and you can always go through the playlists and catch up. I kind of updated them the other day so that you can just hit the first one and let it play for you. So, yeah, so as I mentioned, I did a lot of traveling. I like my Patreon grew, which is super exciting. I have regular courses on there. I do group reads and like workshops for them, and that's been super exciting to be able to do for them. I've been doing regular YouTube postings for months now, at least one large video each month, which has been super exciting. And it's also helped people grow in their own validations, which is so important to me. Other things I achieved, I reconnected with a lot of friends that I hadn't seen in a while, a lot of theater people who we always are busy, and we made time for each other, even if we had to, schedule things out 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Thank you. I really put a lot of emphasis on growing my social network from those who I already had in my life, and that was really cool to do. So yeah, what I learned, I have a lot of information on boundaries in there that I'm gonna keep to myself, and acknowledging pain and hurt as soon as possible, so I've found that I can function much faster and sooner when I give myself time. If that's to grieve, or if that's to be sad, or if that's just to cry sometimes. I used to be so against crying because I was like, oh, that's weak. Now, sometimes I'll just shed a few tears and be okay. And that's good. Thank you for the roses. So yeah. Oh, and thank you, mods, for answering folks' questions. I really appreciate that. Yeah, other things that I learned. I wrote good things about Rupert. Yep. Finding time for people and people finding time for me, and how that's a cohabitating relationship and how important that is. That's been super cool. So what I released, let's see. I had a lot of fear over moving out on my own because I've mentioned this in skits before. I have been a part of houselessness 2 times in my life, and I was really worried about being able to strike out on my own and what that would look like financially. And it's been 6 months now, and I'm still here, and I'm good. So I had a lot of things to overcome when it came to that, and here I am, and here you are with me on this live. What in the world? Thank you for the gifts. So yeah, things I released. I mentioned a lot of things about fears. I mentioned things on loneliness. I mentioned, what was that? Oh, fear of asking friends for help. I released that. And now I'm not like rolling around asking everybody help all the time, but when it really matters, I ask people for help now, and it's been really good. So, yes, letting go doesn't mean lose. What is traded? What is gained? Yeah, that was a big one. That was actually advice from my therapist. So yeah, I'm glad some of you can relate. It's a huge lesson to learn, especially for those of you who consider yourself very, very much individuals, and you have had hardship. And goodness, I don't know anybody who hasn't had hardship, but like the kind of hardship where you have to really rely on yourself. And I know asking for help, thank you for the rose, Julie. I know asking for help can be extremely hard, especially when you've been going at it for so long. So it's a huge lesson. And I am grateful to have been reminded that this time around, and I'm grateful to have had people step up. Not everyone has been able to, and that's been a learning experience as well. Sometimes you ask for help and the person can't give you help, and that's okay. It's just been a lesson for me to be like, oh, okay, cool. They can't help. Should I beat myself up? No. Okay, do I still need help with that? Yes. Okay, I'll ask somebody else and see if they can help. We are a communal society, right? So we need community, and I think that's important. And you know what? I'm gonna throw out my mods real quick, or throw out. I don't want to throw any of you out. I'm gonna words. I'm gonna give a shout out. That's the word I'm thinking of. A shout out to my mods. That was actually a huge lesson for me. I'm grateful, Krista. You actually were the one to suggest growing my mod team. For my Patreon group and that exclusive community, but also here on TikTok. I never wanted to bother anybody, you know, like that was my biggest thing. I was like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody. Like, I don't want anybody to feel like they're working, you know, that kind of thing. And you all have been like super awesome, and I love our chats, and I'm gonna get to see some of you in person within the week. So yeah, you all have been wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for you, which leads me into what am I grateful for? Yeah, I actually wrote down the mods. I wrote down my mom and my stepdad. They were super kind when everything was going on, and I really appreciated that because I was judging myself for a lot of things, and they did not judge me. I feel like they could have, and they did not. I really appreciate that. I'm super grateful. I wrote down, yeah, my mods again, the readers team, some friends that have names, but you wouldn't know who they are. I mentioned the Wilmington theater community. I mentioned Rupert, of course. Like I'm just have a lot to be grateful for. Yeah, I even mentioned folks that I've gone live with. That was like Emily and Crystalline, Eni, Catherine, folks that are going to have more content on my channel, like Krista Capers, who's the emotion coder, and Patty, who I'm still editing our session so that I can put that on YouTube so people can see what it's like to have Akashic Records readings. I've gotten, that's the thing, I feel I'm more private with some things in my life, but like also I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable in others for the sake of other people growing. So like me doing emotion code sessions and like releasing that mostly uncut on my YouTube. Same thing with the Akashic Records reading. I'm basically like, here's my heart. Like, but it's like I feel stronger doing that now because I understand where my true support comes from, and it comes from myself first, but then like it comes from my spirit guide team. It comes from my guides who are incarnated right now, and it has been a journey because life has not always been like this. And I don't know. I do what I can to ensure that things can continue well, but like you never know. So I just want to be grateful and in the present for what I've got right now. So that's that. Yay! Oh, okay. I'm gonna read this affirmation that I wrote for the next like 6 months. I am entirely whole on my own. Growing in love is a good life goal, and the best people continue to find me. That's all of you. You're the best people. Now I'm all like giddy. I'm just like, yay! So thanks for being here. I hope that me sharing some of that gives you some encouragement to do some of that reflection on your own. You're absolutely worth, celebrating your achievements and understanding where you are and where you want to go. And I'll say the same for me. I am worth it too. We're all worth it together. So we made it. We made it this far. Yay. Okay. Anywho, yeah, glad y'all are like, yay, happiness, doing our best. Yep, cool. Thank you. Thank you again, mods, for being all up in my chat. I do appreciate that. Oh, thanks for all the kind words. All of you are so nice. Yep, the asking for help stuff. I see a lot of y'all Understood exactly what I meant there. Oh, thanks. So much love and good stuff in my chat. I appreciate all y'all so much. I know my mods are working hard, though also I'm very fortunate in my lives. A lot of good folks just come here. That's super cool. Like, I think it's easy for some people to go up in other people's lives and just like spread meanness or whatever, negativity and stuff. And I'm not gonna. I'm a pragmatist. Like, I'm like happy right now, but I'm not gonna sit here and be like, life is great all the time and we don't have anything to worry about. No. Even in my readings, when I'm talking with people and they're like, when I'm like, okay, so the higher meaning of what you're going through right now is this. And then I look at them and I'm like, but it still sucks, doesn't it? We can look at what's the higher thing, what's the purpose of all this? Yeah, that's important for perspective, but we're also living it right now and we're totally valid to our feelings. So I always want to put that out there. Yes, so yay, thanks. This is such a great group. Thanks everybody for joining. We're just spreading good vibes. I love this. Cool. That's a funny text message to get anyway. It was from a spam number, I'm certain of it. Yeah, anyway, thanks for all the gifts, everybody. I appreciate it. I want to get to actual pulling stuff. So I found out recently through my Patreon community, and thank you, Stella, for posting this. What I've been doing is called lithomancy. I had no idea it had a name, and I had no idea that other people did it. I started pulling stones, because it just felt right to me. I've never really connected to tarot, and it's just something about this. And it started with me asking questions, closing my eyes or looking away, and then trusting that my hand would fall on something that would give me an answer for whatever I was asking for. It's very metaphorical. And yeah, I know for lithomancy, sometimes it's like you hold the stones and then you throw them out. I've learned a little bit about the technical part of it in the last few days that I knew that it was a thing. But I think it's so cool. It's like one of those things I'm reminded, like, we all have these connections to each other and to like ancient sources, and we're all just growing, right? That's why I'm always like, hey, everybody, let's work together to be connected to our intuition, to understand what parts of us are psychic and what we're growing and how that can be fun. Because now I get to learn about lithomancy, the thing that I've been kind of doing in a form of it for the last 2 years, almost 3. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you got a stone reading with me. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, thanks for all the loves. Yeah. Thank you. Loves. Didn't I used to be the ghost girl? Sorry, I was like, my ghost. I still tell ghost stories. Yeah. I'm still Rebekah the Ghost Guide. And yeah, that kind of thing. So yeah, all of my consultations are virtual. I do them from my tent. This is my tent. Rather than moving all of my stuff out, I was like, I'll just do my live in my tent. And yes, I read from a tent, because why not? I'm an adult. I wanted to make a tapestry tent, and so I did. It makes me happy. Do what makes you happy. I'm surprised I haven't seen more comments of people being like, what are you in? This is my tapestry tent. Or maybe you all know. Maybe you've all been following the lore long enough to go, yes, that is her tapestry tent. I find out, though, part of the reason why I have this is for, what's it called? Sensory deprivation, which I also found out, which thank you, ma'am, for this. Thank you for the heart. You actually told me it was also a form of reading where some people would go into these dark tents and do readings, which I did not know. So I've just been doing stuff just intuitively, and then I find out that it exists in different places. So once again, we are all connected. Anywho, yeah. So let's see. I'll start out, and here's the way I do these reads. I don't do any reads without consent. So the general rule is, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the recording on YouTube later, if you consent to have this reading be for you, all you have to do is say to yourself yes. If you do not consent, then it will not apply to you. Easy enough. But the way that this works is I connect with the energy of those who are open to hearing the message, and I make a poll and figure out what in the world it means. So I think the first one I'm going to do is for the next half. So like summer solstice into winter solstice. And just kind of ask for things to expect for that. So I'm going to move this a little bit. So remember, if you consent, just say yes. I'm going to consent as well. All right. Ooh, I'm already feeling a lot of stuff. How exciting. Okay. And things to be aware of for the next half year. Rose quartz. And in the shape of a heart. You can see my ring light. Oh, that's really funny how the ring light like shows up. Yay, it's like a heart and a heart. I love that. So what's interesting is I have 2 rose quartz in my set. One of them is foggy. You can't see through it, right? The other one is not foggy, but you'll see there's some cracks in it. And it's actually the cracks that help it to not be foggy. This oftentimes says to me when it comes up in readings, but also the feeling that I'm getting from it now is our cracks do not have to be our weaknesses. They can be our strengths. They can allow us to see more straightforward. They can allow us to see the truth. And at the same time, with these cracks, there's something to be aware of, such as your boundaries. If you are experiencing trauma, thank you for the heart. If you're experiencing trauma, other hardships, and somebody brings something up, all you have to do is be like, hi, that doesn't make me comfortable to talk about. That's an answer. Remember, no is a complete sentence. At some point, yes, you want to come to terms with all that stuff, but you don't have to do that with every person. You can do that with a therapist. You can do that with a trusted friend. You can journal. You can connect with whatever you believe is out there to have further understanding and perspective on that. But yeah, I think the larger thing to keep in mind as we go from the summer solstice into the winter solstice for the rest of 2023 is cracks can allow us perspective. They do not have to be weaknesses. So look at the cracks in your life. Look at the cracks in society. I think that's going to be a big one. I really feel stuff about society, stuff about our world, environmentalism. We need to look at the cracks, because if we do not acknowledge the cracks, how in the world are we able to actually fix them? So acknowledge what's going on with yourself. Acknowledge what is going on around you. You're worth it. Our world is worth it. We are not beyond saving. We are right here. So cool. Let's see. I'll do another poll for the quarter, because I'll usually do different lives around the equinox as well. So things to consider moving into the next quarter. Of course, if you want this to apply to you, just simply say yes. You can say it to yourself, or you can comment, but you can really just say it to yourself. It's fine. So things for the collective for the next quarter. Oh, are these 2? This one. Okay, thank you. Ah, yes, tangerine quartz. That's what that looks like. Immediately, I felt a connection to my guts, specifically in regards to chakras. So I was not very talented in anatomy in school. So I call them, they're the upper guts, which is the yellow, and then they're the lower guts, which is the orange, and then there's the bottom organs, which are the red. That's my terminology, and I'm sticking to it. So yeah, and I'm talking about like chakra colors too. I didn't know about chakras until like later on in my life. I would just sometimes see colors around people or like around different spots. So I just still refer to them as like different colors sometimes. Um, yeah, okay, someone else felt it in your lower guts. Okay, thank you. I'm not alone. Um, the bottom organs. Um, yeah, so a lot of this has to do with emotions, but I want to go deeper than that because we hold a lot of emotions in our lower guts, right? Um, Sometimes we hold our emotions near our stomachs, and you'll see different perspectives, not perspectives, but you'll see like different effects according to how people are dealing with their emotions on like how their stomach feels, and that kind of thing, the choices that they make to have their stomach be seen. This reminds me of a very interesting conversation I had with Krista, who's the emotion coder on the team, talking about eating and how the body can, if it wants to be seen, may be larger or maybe smaller if it doesn't want to be seen. This is a generalization, of course. This will not apply to everybody. And it's something that I remember Crystalline and Emily talked about on their podcast, Alchemist Inkwell. I just remember it really struck me because at the time of the times in my life where I didn't want to be seen, I had eating disorders. Fortunately, I've come far from that and I've been able to handle what was going on there. But anyway, that went on a tangent. Okay. Yeah, pay attention to your lower guts. Pay attention to what you're feeling. Gut feelings, if you will. Pay attention to why you do the things you do. Like, why do you eat what you eat? Why do you not eat what you don't eat? How can you celebrate yourself wherever you are? Instead of saying, oh, I used to be smaller, or, oh, I wish I was bigger, or da-da-da-da-da. How can you celebrate where you're at? One of the things I recommend is if I'm not happy with all parts of my body, I find a part of my body that I am happy with, even if it's like, ooh, my wrist works, or my fingers can still do this. There's some people, their wrist can't do this anymore. There's some people, they can't do this with their fingers anymore. What I'll do is I'll be like, okay, acknowledging my fingers can do this. Ooh, this is super cool. Like, great. I'm so grateful that my fingers can do this. I'm so grateful. And then I kind of like think of that and I'm like, okay, how can I spread that gratefulness to different parts of my body so that my body feels seen and understood and recognized? It's important to acknowledge, the things that you're not feeling great about. All the same, I think it's also important to acknowledge the things that you are feeling great about. There can be a balance there. It's not to ignore one or the other. It's simply to be like, cool, I'm unhappy with this, but I'm also happy with this. That's pragmatic. So cool. Yay. I'm glad you're enjoying this stuff in the comments. So yeah, things to kind of keep in touch with over the next quarter is, why do you feel the way that you do about yourself, I guess, is the thing. It's very broad, but I'm also reading for a lot of people right now. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to do some other reads. In the past, I've read for a bunch of ghosts. I think I'm going to read for the living this time around, because some of those ghosts are a part of my closer family, and I mentioned a bit more privacy this time around. So collective messages. I want to do a collective message. I've mentioned my mods a bunch of times. I want to do a collective message for all of you because I super appreciate you. And of course, same rules apply. If you want this message, say yes to yourself. If you do not want this message, then you don't have to do anything. But collective message for the summer solstice, I'll say season for all of you. Oh, there we go. Clear quartz. Ooh, and I'm getting a memory involved with this one. I got this from a horse rescue in North Carolina. You see quartz like this all over the place around the foothills of North Carolina. This was not far out of Charlotte. What does this say? To claim your weight in the world. As in your place, your footprint, your existence, to take up space. I remember with this horse rescue, a lot of these horses were used and abused, unfortunately. And at the rescue, they were allowed to just be themselves and eat more and be clean and have their hooves like trimmed as they need to and that sort of thing. So to my mods, a consideration for you, it is good of you to take up space. All of you are wonderful people and you deserve to be seen for all of the wonderfulness that you are. So cool. And I want to do a read for my Patreons as a collective for the solstice season. Same rules apply. If you want it to apply to you, simply say yes. Oh, that was my tripod. But anyway, right underneath my tripod was this. This was actually given to me by, it was at our last Patreon meetup in St. Augustine. You know who you are. She gave, I think, everybody these actually. But it is a painted rock, I think, or like glass stone on a seashell. And I love this. This is my wild card of the deck because what does this mean? Up to interpretation, right? So, for my Patreons as a collective, thing to keep in mind for the solstice is be authentic, be you, be weird. You're already a part of the group. Be weird, you know, like I'm weird. if you're here, where we can all be our unique kind of weird together. And I would say a little bit as well, don't be afraid of taking chances, of putting yourself out there a little bit, of saying, hi, I'm like this. Like when you meet people or put yourself out there in my Patreon community to be like, hey, this is what happened. This was the read that I got. Even if it's something somebody else, or maybe something I missed on the video. Maybe that means for you, you put a comment down and somebody says, yeah, I got that too. That happens all the time. So be you, be authentic, put yourself out there when you feel comfortable. And you all rock. I appreciate you so much. Other things. I want to do a collective read for my readers team because I'm grateful for all of you. So I'd say readers team and collaborators in that. So for any of you who are watching, say yes and receive or don't. You can also probably do these readings for yourself, but you know, this is what we do for each other. I regularly trade reads with my readers team because I love all of them and I think they're so great. So cool. Collective message for the readers team. Oh, my palm fell on the... Ooh. Okay. I forgot the name of this, but Julie, if you are still watching, I know you know what this is because we talked about this in the last time we talked. It's called a Terra. Is it Terra something or another? It's a fossil. It's a fossil shell. Goodness, all of these, I'm getting a lot of requests. Ammonite. Thank you, Gina, who's also a part of the Readers Collective. By readers by extension and collaborators, and for those of you working with me on jewelry, etc., that kind of thing, you're also a collaborator. I say jewelry, etc. I've got one person I'm working with on jewelry, and that's Lala Lotus. You know who you are. But also collaborators like Gina, for example, you're a part of the collective in that. Okay, so for this, oh, that was power. Okay. To my readers and collective team, all you need to know is already somewhere in you. You have knowledge, you have experience, you have lives on lives. I know some of you from in between spaces and other lives. And I know it can be easier said than done to trust oneself. I know that myself firsthand. And I say this to me too, because I'm also a part of my readers team. You all have depth in you. You are all here right now for a wonderful purpose, and I am so grateful that you would join me to do the things that you are doing, and you are doing such good things. So I appreciate all of you. But yeah, feel the weight of experience, not necessarily always in this life, but lives and lives and lives, and how that experience is a part of how you grow. So, I got shivers on that one. Okay. Cool. This is fun. Okay. I'm grateful for you. Yay. Hey, these messages, if this message hits you, whether you're a part of that collective or not, take the message. That's why I'm doing it live. I could just send out like a message to them and be like, I did this for you. But yeah, if these messages feel applicable to where you are in your life, take it. Good for you. I aim to help who I can help. Oh, thank you for the compliment on my shirt, Callie. Other thing. Yeah, so I can be vulnerable myself, but in a good, strong way, in a good headspace. I'm going to do a poll for myself for the solstice season. Is it this one? Tiger's eye. And in the shape of a heart. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, this is riding the coattails of the last read that I did. Strength within. I also get the feeling that, being vulnerable in different states, especially with my shadow work and that kind of thing, is a kind of protection in itself. Because I am right here. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody else, but cool, it did for me. So yeah, okay. With that, and I'm seeing a lot of really great questions in the chat, and I know my mods are helping with that. Some of my mods are also on my reader team. But as always, I've got a lot of content on my Q&A playlist as well as my YouTube longer content. I'm mainly focusing on the solstice and doing these kinds of reads right now. So if it looks like I'm not paying attention to some of your questions, it's just because this is for the event. But I've also got a lot of resources, and I like to go live soon in the future as well to help you with all that. Happy summer solstice to everybody. Glad what I said made sense. Okay, so I've done that. I've done the collective. I've done, let's see, I've done the readers team. Yeah, okay, cool. I think I'll go for that rather than go into individuals, because I know some of you always like, I will do that for individuals, but as I mentioned, I think I'm just going to keep it in small collectives for this one. So for some of you, if I told you that I was going to do a pull for you in the live, I will reach out to you after so that you know. But, and of course, mods, if you want individual reads, I got you. Same thing with the readers team. But anywho, yeah, I'm going to do another poll for things to keep in mind, because I kind of did more introspective things for every read that I've done so far. I'm going to do something worldview kind of things to expect over this next period. I'll just go between our solstice period into the equinox, which will be to autumn. So things to be prepared for. I think this is called a green quartz. Those of you who are into crystals can correct me. Yeah. I had a very interesting vision. Inner eye clairvoyance. I'm not having a that's so Raven moment where I'm like, though that has happened in my readings before, but not with my physical eyes, just more here where I'm like, anyway. The inner eye sort of thing that I saw was, it's like a drop of money and then all the money went. Economy. If you have been watching this live the whole time, you remember part of the reason why I made this honey jar, and it was to invite wealth. Here's the thing. Define what your wealth means for you. Because I think as a society, we've put a lot of importance on money rather than all of the aspects of wealth, friendship, being seen, safety, authenticity. Wealth for ourselves, to simply be ourselves. I see a lot of folks putting a lot of money into things that will not preserve them, will not preserve their souls, will not preserve their safety. A lot of that stuff comes from within. So I think in the next quarter, one of the things that we might see are people are going to put their wealth where they think is important naturally. I mean, I do the same thing, right? But the question that we as a society, I think, need to consider is, what wealth are we aiming for and why? Is it about growing rich so we have so many bank accounts? Or is it about growing rich in experiences, in having friends? It may not be all the friends in the world. Maybe it's just a few that matter a lot. So I think we as a society, we will be told what matters when it comes to wealth. And I think that's a personal question for each of you. What is wealth to you? So strive for that. Yeah. Yay. Thanks for the nice commentary. I appreciate it. As I said, I don't typically do readings. I typically do like Q&A stuff in my lives. So I'm glad that I was able to help with this. So yeah. Green adventuring tends to lean towards the heart chakra. Absolutely right. And that's also a great activation zone right there. Oh, your kids are your wealth. I love that. Yeah, curious if anybody wants to comment. What is your wealth? What does wealth look like to you? Sometimes I feel like Dora the Explorer because I know some of you are typing, and but I'm just like girlfriends and family hands down, knowledge and friends. My wealth is peace. Lots of fruit, love that. Laughter, friends and family, love of your life, yes. Your child, your daughter, I saw a friend's family. Nature, yes. Family, pets, friends, peace, family and friends. Firewood. Wealth is your family. Happy summer solstice, yeah. Ability to care for yourself, yes, that's super important. Health, your cat and your dog, little guy in your family. Yeah, wonderful. So cool. One thing and thank you for sharing all of that, everybody. I love this like vibe that we have tonight. It's very good. So yeah, I'm seeing a few things on like wanting things and not always knowing what you have. Start with something. Are you breathing? You know, like, and I know that might seem like a cop out, but there's some people, I mean, we saw this over the years. Some people have a lot of trouble breathing and it's very painful for them. So like perspective, once again, I'm not saying this to be like, oh, there are hungry children somewhere. That's not the point. Like, acknowledge where you're at, though. I think everybody's got something to be grateful about. You don't need to compare yourself to other people. Like, that's not the point of this. What is it? I heard a quote where it's like, comparison is where dreams die or something like that. So maybe that's compare yourself to yourself. You know, maybe that's what you need to be doing. Where have you been? Has it been worse before? Where are you now? If you feel like it's the worst where you're at right now, that's okay. We all experience that. That's not to belittle or invalidate what you're feeling. Sometimes when you got nothing to lose. And I think that's a very important lesson to learn. I have learned this numerous times. I'm not saying this from like an empty place. So, and I mentioned some of those times already on this live. So I don't feel like I need to mention a bunch of them again. But yeah, I wanted to throw this out there. I also have a journal called Manifest Space. And I actually use this for myself. And yes, those are pictures. We do not have to go into what those are. The Patreon saw what those are. But yeah. Cause yeah, and that was a whole conversation. But anyway, yeah, once again, with these, the pages are on my website. So I understand not everybody's in the financial capability to be able to put, I think this is 11.11. Yeah, it's 11.11 as far as like the price. So no judgment there. I've certainly been in hard spots myself. So that's why I put the pages there. Okay, cool. I'm not bleeding. Great. Because I just went like bam, and I was like, ow, my face. So yeah, but I talk about this, and I may do a live on manifestation, or I've also talked about doing an upcoming course on Patreon on manifestation and different ways to do it. It's not all journaling. Sometimes people want to get really into the action of things. Yeah, thank you for the compliments on my drawing for those who saw that particular video, which is just on Patreon. So yeah. And I made that accessible for all tiers. So if you're like, oh, I don't have the exclusive content tier, I made that accessible for $5 and up. So, yeah. But I talk about manifesting, and it's a wonderful time to manifest. The solstice is a great time. We just got through a wonderful new moon that's good for manifesting. And I do all of this from like, imagine if you were in the future looking back, and then you write all this out. So I think the most important thing with manifesting is, one, that you feel an emotion associated with it, because it may not be the thing that draws you to it. It's the emotion that it makes you feel, right? And with this, I get emotional when I read stories that are inspirational. So I'm like, tell your inspirational story. Or some people might draw stuff. But I do it from the perspective, like, pretend that you were in the future looking back. How did you get to that place that you want to go? The future is mutable. It is ever changing, and we play a part in that. So figure out what future you want. Go for it. Go forth. But yeah, that's something to consider if you want to check that out. And I mentioned the courses. There are 7 courses available. All of them are about an hour. And right now you can access all of them from the $10 a month tier on Patreon. So I've got a lot of stuff out there. Because as I said, and I want to reiterate this again, I want folks to feel like they are more trusting in themselves. I think we all have intuition on different levels, just figuring out the language of intuition that we got. I talk about all that in my courses. And I think the more of us who are in touch with ourselves, the better off our society will be, and the better off we will be to assist other people. So cool. Well, it has been an hour, and the sun is still out, and I'm super excited about that. And I think I'm going to go exist on a hammock outside while the sun is setting. I hope wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that you give yourself something good for yourself, even if that's a kind word, even if you don't fully believe it. Kind word from yourself. Heart. That was perfect. A kind word from yourself. Ooh, that was a broken one. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, cool. So yeah, happy solstice. Happy solstice, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you. This will go up on my YouTube tomorrow on the solstice proper. Solstice proper is going to be it's June 21st, which is Wednesday. Hermes Day. But yeah, thanks so much for coming. Thank you, mods. I keep thanking my Patreons. Thank you. Thank you, my readers team. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all of your kindness. And yeah, for any questions on solstice, when I post the recording, you will get those questions answered right there. So yeah, anywho. Great. Okay, we're all here. Love fest. Love yourself. Do your best to do that. And I will promise to do the same as I overcome my imposter syndrome. I'm going to log off now. Thank you. Have a good day, night, wherever you are.